Imagine waking up one morning, you grab your phone, and you discover that Netflix, Twitter, PayPal, Spotify, just gone. Completely disappeared from the internet. You refresh your browser, nothing. Restart the router, still nothing. I mean, it literally feels like a total digital blackout. But here's the crazy part. There were no bombs, no missiles. The actual culprit behind this massive, civilization-pausing outage? Hacked security cameras. When you see those names, Netflix, Twitter, PayPal, Spotify, just totally wiped off the digital map, it's honestly hard not to feel a sense of sheer panic, right? Imagine millions of us suddenly unable to stream a movie, process a payment, collaborate with coworkers, or even just read the morning news, all at the exact same moment. I mean, these platforms are the backbone of our daily digital lives and modern commerce. When they vanish, the world essentially grinds to a halt. We're not talking about a brief glitch here. We are talking about a coordinated, devastating strike that created this unprecedented tech thriller mystery, unfolding in real time right before our eyes.
So that leads us to the ultimate question, the one that had top security researchers literally scratching their heads in absolute disbelief. How exactly can a cheap $30 webcam, the kind sitting on someone's front porch, help bring down vast sections of the global internet? It sounds like the plot of a sci-fi movie, for sure, but it is an entirely real, historical event.
Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to episode 1 of our new series, exploring the biggest cyber attacks in history. Today's roadmap is pretty straightforward. First, the Mirai Botnet. Second, the Dyn DNS attack. Third, the AI era threat. And finally, lessons learned. Real quick, to understand why these specific global disruptions make our list, here is how we rank them. We look at 5 key criteria. First, financial damage, and we don't just mean stolen money, but the sheer economic value wiped out. Second, the massive number of victims or infected devices. Third, the real-world impact on governments and businesses. Fourth, historical significance. And finally, the long-term cybersecurity lessons. Today's explainer focuses on an event that scores incredibly high across all those metrics.
All right, Section 1, Building a Digital Army, the Mirai Botnet attack of 2016.
So what exactly is a botnet? In simple terms, it's a network of infected, internet-connected devices that are secretly controlled as a group by hackers to perform a coordinated task. Think of a traditional cyber attack like a single thief trying to pick the lock on a heavy door. A botnet, though, it's like a general commanding a million mindless zombies to push against that door all at the exact same time until the hinges just snap. Once a device is infected, it operates totally normally for you. But in the background, it mindlessly waits for a command from its master, ready to strike at a moment's notice.
Now, what's really wild here is the type of devices we are talking about. We're looking at IoT, the Internet of Things. We are not talking about massive corporate server farms being hijacked. These are everyday objects. Smart cameras, baby monitors, home routers. The perfectly innocent devices sitting right now in your living room or your baby's nursery. People bought these for convenience, completely unaware they were installing internet-connected computers with basically zero security right into their private spaces.
And here is the fatal flaw that made this whole thing possible. Think about the crazy security on your smartphone right now. You've got facial recognition, fingerprint scanners, two-factor authentication, the whole shebang. Meanwhile, millions of these IoT devices were shipped from the factory with incredibly simple default passwords hard-coded right into their systems. We're talking usernames like admin and passwords like admin or 1234. It's literally the digital equivalent of installing a massive titanium vault door on your house, but leaving the key under the doormat with a giant blinking neon sign pointing right at it. Most consumers just plug these gadgets in and never even knew they could change those passwords, leaving millions of doors wide open across the internet.
So the crucial point is the staggering scale this vulnerability allowed. By writing a relatively simple piece of malware that just roamed the internet, guessing these default passwords, the creators of the Mirai Botnet secretly recruited over 600,000 vulnerable devices. Yeah, over 600,000 individual devices harnessed together into a single terrifying digital weapon. And with this massive digital army assembled in the shadows, the hackers were finally ready to strike.
Which brings us to Section 2, the Dyn DNS attack on October 21st, 2016.
Let's look at this chilling sequence of events. The attackers spent weeks passively scanning the web, probing for those vulnerable admin/admin devices, and quietly recruiting their digital army. Then on October 21st, they didn't attack Netflix or Twitter directly. That's way too hard. Those companies have massive defenses. Instead, they aimed all 600,000 devices at a company called DIN. Now, DIN was a major DNS provider. Think of DNS as essentially the internet's phone book. It connects a human-readable web address to a computer's actual IP address. To take DIN down, the hackers used a DDoS attack. Imagine 600,000 people calling the exact same phone book operator at the exact same millisecond, screaming for a phone number over and over and over again. The system just melted down under the sheer physical weight of junk requests pouring in from webcams and baby monitors. Without that phone book, the internet simply forgot how to route users to their favorite sites.
The immediate aftermath was staggering. Major websites became completely inaccessible across vast swaths of North America and Europe. The internet practically went dark. Behind the scenes, IT teams were scrambling in absolute panic because they were completely blind to how to stop it. Security pros are used to blocking traffic from known bad actors or hostile nation-states. They were absolutely not prepared to block traffic coming from a smart toaster in Ohio or a DVR in London. In a matter of hours, this fundamentally changed how governments and companies viewed global cybersecurity forever. The perimeter wasn't just the corporate firewall anymore. It was your home internet router. And this brilliantly illustrates why understanding the Mirai attack isn't just an interesting history lesson. It is a vital warning for us today.
Moving on to Section 3, the AI era threat, and why this matters today.
Because unfortunately, this threat hasn't gone away. In fact, cybersecurity experts have a really strong consensus on this. They warn that IoT security remains a massive problem right now, as cheap, generic smart devices keep flooding the market. But what's really alarming is that with the rapid advancement of artificial intelligence, similar attacks could become exponentially larger and way more sophisticated. Imagine an AI that doesn't just blindly guess admin/admin, but actively writes new, unique exploits to break into smart refrigerators, thermostats, and security systems in a matter of milliseconds. AI could be used to scan and exploit vulnerabilities in billions of new smart devices faster than any human ever could. It really turns our highly connected future into a potential minefield.
So let's get into Section 4, securing your smart home and the lessons learned. You are definitely not powerless in this scenario. We can absolutely learn from the Mirai attack to lock down our own digital perimeters. Making sure your devices don't unknowingly get drafted into the next digital army comes down to 4 essential steps of basic digital hygiene. First, change default passwords immediately on any new internet-connected device. Never ever leave it on admin. Second, update the firmware regularly. Manufacturers release these patches specifically to stop newly discovered attacks. Third, always use strong, unique passwords. And fourth, if your home router allows it, separate your smart home devices onto a different guest network. Why does that work? Well, if a hacker does manage to compromise your cheap smart light bulb, keeping it on an isolated network means they're walled off. They can't use that light bulb as a bridge to hop over to your personal laptop where you do your banking. These simple steps are literally your absolute best shield against this kind of threat.
The Mirai Botnet showed us how our own everyday household gadgets could be turned against us to shut down the internet. It was a massive wake-up call that echoed around the world. But what happens when malicious software is designed not just to disrupt, but to completely destroy? Are you ready for an attack that caused billions in damages and spread across the world in only hours? That is exactly what we're covering in the next episode. Until then, check those webcam passwords and stay curious.